Okay, Alysha. Now that you get a couple days after the final, just kind of what have you thought about this season? Just kind of in general, as you kind of think back over the year in its entirety.
Um, Honestly, I really haven't processed anything yet. It's, taking a ride, getting back, and then pretty much just resting all day yesterday. I haven't really processed much. I know like the one thing is like this is just such a weird feeling. And not playing deep in the playoffs is a sucky feeling. So that's something that I have been able to at least acknowledge. But yeah, I really haven't processed too much about the season yet. I just know, I feel like we had a lot left on the table. And it's just, it sucks not being able to have the opportunity to show that.
You, how was when now that it's over? How was your health for the entire year? Were you able to move past it once you kind of got back into it, or did it linger?
I mean, it was an up and down journey throughout the season. But I knew that coming into the summer. I knew, talking with my PT during the off season, I knew that was going to be something that I was going to have to manage and kind of just expect. But I felt good, overall, like I felt healthy. I felt good. My foot felt great, which, the nature of this injury, you never know. And a lot of athletes don't come back from it. So to be able to feel as good as I felt, I was really proud of that and super grateful for that.
No numbers weren't where you would like them to be, especially on the offensive end. How do you kind of approach this offseason? Is there like something that you specifically kind of want to work on? Do you think that was just, like we were just saying, health being up and down affected that? Or, sometimes when you're just coming off of a year off, it takes a while to kind of get that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm approaching this off season the way I've approached the off season my last 10 years. It's just I want to come back better than I was this year. And whatever way that looks, however that looks, whatever that means I have to work on, like I'm gonna figure that out during the off season. But my goal every year hasn't changed. I want to be better than I was the year before, and I think it's held me down pretty well so far.
Just one last one, and then I'll shut up that. Obviously, you've got free agents decisions. When do you start thinking about that? Have you started thinking about that? Would you like to be back here? How do you approach that part of the offseason?
I mean, that's so far away. That's the last thing on my mind right now. And when it comes time to have to start making those decisions, I will. But yeah, I'm not thinking about that right now. No problem.
Alicia said that you were telling this season that they're grateful. Just talk about, I know the word you put in, we kind of talked about that. When you think about that word grateful, can you just explain what that means to you in this season?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that I was able to even play basketball this summer. Like I said, the nature of this injury is not a good one for athletes. And I knew that once, I figured out what it was. And so for me, just to even be on the court, moving the way that I was moving, allow, my body doing the things that it did, super grateful for that, and the team behind the scenes that has worked with me all off season, throughout this entire season and will continue, that's something that for me, I've learned a lot about my body and I'm really proud of, being able to sustain a season, after what happened. So yeah, I'm just grateful to be able to have been back out there competing, and playing alongside my teammates. Yeah, it didn't end the way I wanted it to, but just to be out there was a blessing in itself.
Yeah, my last one for you. This, what was a positive individually you like from yourself this year?
Um, Man, uh, I think just the way, like, this is probably not going to mean much to most people, but for me, just the different ways I was able to like look for my shot and be aggressive in that way. Times in the past where I would have never even thought to look for a shot in a certain scenario, I was looking for that. And so for me, that's a big step. It's something small, but that for me is, a step in the right direction. And that, for me, let me know I was better than I was last year and just in that part of it. So, yeah.
As a team, everyone ready to go out to be one at the top. I think the best. You guys can be the best in solid categories. being able to reflect back. What was that process like from day one of the season to be building up throughout the entire year and achieve what you guys wanted to get?
I think for us in the beginning, it was just realizing, okay, now we have multiple great defenders that are out here. And so just learning, the style of play for one another, how we like to defend, like how I like to defend a player is different than how Tosh does, and how she's good at defending an offensive player is different than how I do. So just learning each other's styles, I think, was the biggest learning curve in the beginning. And then I think from there, it was just getting that chemistry and that trust. You have to build trust on the defensive side of the floor, because you are like, you're exposed, you are, pressuring certain players, you're taking certain things away. So to build the trust, to know that you have, the backside help, or have people chirping in your ear where to go and where to send people, is definitely a big part of being a great defensive team. And I think as the season went on, we grew in that area tremendously. And I think that's why you saw our defense keep us in games, and that was what we hung our hat on. And that's, I think, for us, was a great building block, because offensively, with the different lineup changes and stuff, it took a minute to kind of find that chemistry, but our defense held us down. And I think, I was super excited about that. And I was proud of the way that we grew in that area. Yeah.
In terms of the first 2 years, they didn't what are your memories that you take from these 2 years, positive things that stick out most about this team organization?
Oh man. Just like the care, honestly, like from top down, just the care and attentiveness throughout it, and just the family atmosphere. It's rare that you can share the same facility as an NBA team, as a G League team. And it honestly, like the interactions between everyone here, from staff down to the players, was just so positive. Like I spent my entire off season here, and I felt, like I was the 16th woman of the Go-Go and like the 18th player for the Wizards, just because of the interactions that I've had with them on a daily basis, being in the gym around them. And you don't get that often. When I tell people about that, they're like, wait, what? Because other teams that are affiliated, they block them off. It's completely separate. But here it's definitely a unique atmosphere, a unique familial atmosphere that I thoroughly enjoyed. And just getting to know the city and being around and seeing what all this organization has to offer, and the way that, they're in the community. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Lastly, I know you and your teammates have already talked about this publicly, but now this is the season, overseas play, I know that's something you would not go to summer seasons, playing in France for several years too. Has the Brittany Griner situation changed your thought process at all about going overseas?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us especially it does, because as it's different, just being a player going overseas, and it's different than being a WNBA player going overseas. There's a higher target around you as a player, because you're the best in the world. Like our league is the best in the world. So people and teams, and they know that when you come to their country. So it's definitely, had me take a step back and really evaluate, because, like we said, that could have been any one of us. And, it's a very scary situation. And again, like for us, just continuing to stay diligent and making sure that like her name stays in the forefront, and like the situation that happened, and why she was even over there in the beginning of pay equity, and all of these issues at the forefront of this conversation, because that's why we go over there. And so hopefully, it definitely makes you take a second to pause and think. And I know for me, that's something that I've taken into consideration for sure. Yeah.
Switch to Zoom, Kara.
Sorry, Jen.
Hey, Alysha. I know in the preseason and even in the beginning of the season, we talked a lot about you and Elena and kind of your parallel journeys in injury recovery. How was it, particularly late in the season as Elena played more consistently, for you both to be fully healthy or close to it, and you able to experience, actually playing with her after so long.
Yeah, it was definitely a long time coming. And but no, I mean, playing alongside her, you see why she's, a phenomenal player. And just to be able to see her healthy, moving the way that she was, playing the way that she was as the season went on, you just have so much more respect, because I got to see the day in and day out in here that she had to go through during the off season just to be at that point. So it was great. I was happy to finally be able to take the court with her, and just learn with her and grow with her on the court. And it was exciting. She makes it easy, to play alongside. And that for me, that's part of I wish we could have continued to keep playing, because I know the work that's been put in behind the scenes, and, I feel like she was just getting started. And I think just like our group was just finding a groove, but, hopefully there'll be other opportunities for that to happen.
And then, with your free agency looming, not going to ask you about that specifically, but just thinking back to when you first signed in DC 2 years ago, I know there was a lot you couldn't have predicted with your foot and whatnot, but do you feel like you got what you wanted to get out of your stint in DC, whether that's on or off the court?
For sure. And that's something for me that I was at peace when I made my decision initially. And so being here and having a moment to kind of just reflect, talking to my best friend yesterday, is evident. And it was still that same feeling of peace, knowing I made the right decision. Obviously, like on court stuff, I feel like we had more left in our tank, and, I wish we could have had another opportunity to keep playing. But as far as like all the things that I had, originally thought and sought and planned when signing here, absolutely.
Thank you. And thank you for your time all season. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
That's all the time we have, because Tasha's ready. Thank you, Elise.
You heard her.
Alysha.
She's all
Good. Now that it's been a couple days to kind of, sit them in and see.
It's been one, but yeah, hey, let's go.
Traveling yesterday.
Yeah.
Days. But kind of what stands out, or what has been at the forefront of your thoughts of just this season as a whole?
It's a hard question. I don't know how other people answered it, but I was still very much in a place where it hasn't hit me yet that we're done playing. I feel like we had more to give this season. I feel like I had more to give this season. So I'm still in a very much frustrated competitor mode. I know what we had in our locker room. And I think that's the frustrating part is, we had it, we just didn't kind of piece it together in time. And so just I'll be better to answer that probably in a week or so of how I feel, but there's really only been about 24 hours in between, and half of that was traveling. So I'm still trying to process everything.
What do you think that a little bit more that y'all could have?
Urgency, intentionality, moments like after the LA game, people commenting on my reaction, but people not understanding the importance of games like that, where if we win, we have home court advantage for the first two playoff games. A Seattle team that is damn near perfect at home, but struggles on the road. It would have been huge for us moving into a semifinal. So when people are so quick to critique players and our competitiveness and our passion for the game and our passion for winning and trying to win, games like LA and the intentionality and the urgency behind what we're doing when we step across those lines onto the floor, those are moments that you wish you could get back, when you're sitting here sitting on it.
We've talked so much about what you worked on last season, adding to your game. What's this offseason look like for you?
I'm a grind. My trainer, James Clark, he always says it's just work. We're just going to get to work. So he'll sit, he'll figure out he watches my seasons. So he'll come up with a game plan of, what he thinks that we need to work on and moving forward. And then obviously I'll put in what I feel like I need moving forward. And then we come up with a game plan. So excited just to get back to work. Typically I usually take like a month off after the season, but I feel like this season I'm just going to get to it. Excited for another Athletes Unlimited, where I can then put in, test out and trial and error with what I'm doing this off season, and just being prepared for next season through Athletes Unlimited. Thank you, Kareem.
Natasha,
What's up,
that
boy?
first, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
You talk about Athletes Unlimited and
Mhm.
you looking into this off season. Just how much can that league take your game to the next level as we saw last year, how it did for this year?
Yeah, I think last year is a prime example of what Athletes Unlimited meant to not only me, but a bunch of people's careers. It prepared me so much for this season for moments like, a game 2 Seattle game, just allowing me to be free, to learn the game from a different point of view, from a coaching standpoint, from a GM standpoint, to be put in those positions to challenge me to be better, not only on the floor, but my IQ as well. I think this season is the perfect example of what Athletes Unlimited was able to do for me in my career moving forward. Statistically, I'm up in every category except for field goal percentage. I think I'm a little bit off. So Athletes Unlimited, I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. I'm extremely thankful for it. I'm extremely thankful for the people that are, a part of Athletes Unlimited that believe in progressing women's sports here in the States forward and presenting opportunities for women that might not necessarily get them or get a chance at the W. So just forever grateful. I'm excited to be back with them. Excited to start meetings as a PEC member, and I'm going to be better next year because of it.
And so you got to see that you had arguably one of the greatest players of the game kind of talk to you, had that interaction with just practicing with him. And then you had a career game that next game. How much having validation and this support from LeBron just mean to you?
I said it the other day, Michael Jordan, everyone, yes, the GOAT, but in my generation, it's LeBron. And so when you're able to sit and not only watch him up close and personal, I can go to, when LA comes and plays the Wizards, but I'm up in, a box in a nice space. Thank you, Monumental. But to be able to be courtside and just see him and, to be able to see him work out and the work he put in after the game, and to be able to sit there and see how humble and down to earth and appreciative of the game. Like, he was walking me through plays of our game 1 against Seattle, and it's like, wow, y'all actually do watch. Like, that's really, really dope. And when you're talking about our NBA counterparts trying to, uplift and amplify us and bring attention to us, I think LeBron has been a huge advocate for us, as well as a bunch of other players. But that was a priceless moment for me and for my teammates as well, that got to have those interactions with not only him, but DeJounte and Jamal as well.
And then Josh, my last one. We know you're the heart and soul, the engine of this team.
I appreciate
A lot
you.
of the fans come up to me and say, just tell Tasha, we appreciate it. Thank
I
you.
appreciate you.
How did it help you this season, knowing that ESA behind you, Mystics fans behind you? Just how much did that drive you just to want to be good for them?
DC has been my home for 8 years. I was drafted here in 2015 as a second round kid from a mid-major school. DC allowed me to grow. They've allowed me to, succeed, to fail, to go through kind of the ups and downs, and all while supporting me and embracing me, and kind of boosting me forward when I needed it, whether it is on the court or it is in my activism. I love DC. I've said it a million times. This is, where I started. This is where I've been, and this is where I want to finish. I take great pride in representing the District of Columbia. I take great pride in representing this city, especially Ward 8. And I'm a person in this community, but that support from our fans is, you can't even put it into words what it means to you as a player to step on that floor every night here in ESA and have that support, and to be here for 8 years and to have that support. I'm just super appreciative, and I love y'all. I appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you, John. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm getting emotional talking about freaking DC. I love y'all. Tyler, your question pissed me off the other night. I'm gonna say that right now. We're the #1 fucking defensive team in this league. Period. Go ahead, ask your question.
8 years, every year seems an entirely different experience.
Mhm.
What stands out to you most about this team this year?
I don't think people really put in a perspective where we were last year at this time. We were actually not even here at this time. We weren't in the playoffs. Our culture had been just completely reversed from the year prior. We were in a really scary place. We can talk with me, A and Delle, and we were in a scary place for where our culture was headed. So the fact that we were able to grab hold of our culture and our environment this year, rebuild it, bring it back to what it was, to kind of reset and bring back in Elena Delle, who didn't even know she was going to be able to play a game of basketball, to having AC come off an injury and come back and play, her first season back from that injury. Ariel, Atkins, Myisha, Hines-Allen, to have Shakira as a rookie come in, start, do what she was able to do this season. I don't think people realize the strides that we took forward, after taking what I felt like was like 10 steps backwards last season. So I'm extremely proud. I do think that we had more to give, and unfortunately the cards didn't play out in our favor, but it's, again, there's only been a day in between, but at the end of the day, I always believe that God has a journey set out for all of us, and it wasn't written in our journey this season to advance, but we learned a lot, we went through a lot, and because of that, we're going to be so much better next year. And the adversity along the way only shapes you for your purpose. So I feel like this is that adversity, and it's going to shape me. It's going to shape the rest of my teammates to be better next year.
Kind of already talked about it before you answer questions, but I know the team goals, you guys weren't able to fully, but for your individual goals, you already ran through the bunch. Did you meet those goals this season?
I wanted a championship. Obviously, that didn't happen. So we missed some of our marks as well. But I think as far as the culture standpoint, the defensive standpoint, of playing how we individually played throughout the season, I think we did meet a lot of our goals. And it's hard to sometimes embrace those goals when you're sitting in the seat and the season is over, but you got to enjoy the process along the way. You got to enjoy and be where your feet are. And those goals that you set out to achieve and you're achieving them, you also need to embrace them as well. So I'm very proud of myself. I'm very proud of my teammates, and I'm very proud of this organization in a lot of different ways. But we can still be better. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Thank you, Tom.
That's one more before we go to, just real quick, you're a leader of this team, the core of this team is going to be back, but every offseason things make sense. Is there a certain skill set when Mike sits down and starts looking at how to take care of the roster? Is there a certain skill set you think you guys could add that could be the missing piece from your perspective of being on the court?
I couldn't tell you that right now.
And I'm not asking for a name.
Yeah, no, I couldn't even tell you the skill set that we need. I feel like we have a lot of what we need in our locker room, and it's just developing and continuing to grow. We're talking about Shakira, that's going to be one of the best fives to ever come through this league. Is still developing into herself, still figuring out her body. Myisha, Hines-Allen is the same thing. I think she's an all-star, and we need to figure out how to exude that confidence into her and give her the opportunities that she needs to continue to get better. Elena, A, and I need to continue to grow and get better. But this is it's what it is. We're going to see what the off season looks like, what we need. We're going to talk about it as an organization because that's how we work here, and we're going to figure it out together, and we're going to be better next year because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Josh has.
We have time for 2 questions over Zoom. We'll go to Jen and then Christy.
Hey, Tosh,
Hey, Jen.
quick thing, you mentioned AU before. Are you going to play with the Jordanian team as well, or just AU?
No, I think I'm actually going to go back to Jordan in October. I just got to figure out how to renew my passport.
Awesome. And then my more substantive question is just, how much did winning that assists crown in the regular season mean to you? I know you've talked before about how maybe you don't always get the respect that you deserve, how you're the underdog, but to be a regular season assist champion, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot. Again, you could talk about my journey of being an underdog and me not necessarily supposed to be here. And if it wasn't for the Mystics organization, I probably wouldn't be here. They took a chance on a mid-major kid, and I always knew who I was and the dog that I am on both sides of the floor. And I still don't think that I get the respect that I deserve as one of the best point guards in this league currently. And so I think a lot of people took me advocating for myself as a little bit of cockiness. If that's what y'all got to take it as, then that's cool. But when I was humble and my statistics were proving themselves, y'all ain't hear me, y'all didn't feel me. So for me, I'm going to continue to advocate for myself. I'm going to make y'all feel me. I'm going to make y'all hear me because I am one of the best point guards in this league, and I play both sides of the floor. And my job every single night to be able to lead this team, this organization offensively, and then to take the best player on the other team every single night and switch and guard 1 through 4, 1 through 5 at times. You don't see that from the point guard position. So I'm going to continue to advocate for myself, but that title as the assist leader in a league that, I'm not the flashiest of passers, but I'm going to get that shit done regardless. That means a lot to me. And we talked about, Tyler, of achieving goals. That's my goal, is to be the best version of myself every single night that I step out in the Mystics uniform, and whatever I need to do for my team, that's what I'm going to do. And so that title is not only my personal accolade, but it's a testament to my teammates too, for allowing me to be me and allowing me to really just thrive in who I am and what I am.
Thanks, Tosh. Appreciate your time all year.
Thank you, Jen.
Christy?
2 snaps up, first of all, for what you just said. And I've seen you
Thank you,
mature from day one to today. So I just want to say I'm super
You've
proud.
been with me, girl. You've been with me.
I've been with you. At the end of the last game, I know I've been in locker rooms at the end of the season, and I know that things are said, and sometimes, it goes straight to the ear. It's like there's nothing that can soothe that sting, but what resonated with you, and who said what in the locker room after the game?
There wasn't a lot of talking, honestly. There was a lot of emotions. It was probably the quietest our locker room had been. And we're in a situation too, right, where we gave them game 1, and we understood that going out there, that first game was the most important game. When you don't take that game, that second game becomes that much harder to one of the best teams in this league that is, again, damn near perfect at home. So it was really quiet. I think Coach came in, did a good job of just, telling us he was proud of us and proud of getting our environment back, getting our culture back, achieving some of our goals that we set out to achieve, and then thanking us. And afterwards, I think we all know that we had much more to give, and it just didn't play out in our favor. So there wasn't a lot said. I think it was just more thank yous. I made sure to thank our support staff, our medical staff, because we go as they allow us to go. And so just super thankful of everyone that is around us and allows us to do what we do every single night. This organization, monumental, the resources and opportunities that are presented to us to make us a championship organization. There's a lot of teams in this league that don't receive those same things. So I think just an appreciation for those around us that allow us to be great every single night was what was most said in the locker room.
And last thing for me, you were talking about the culture an awful lot and how it just 180 from last season. What specifically is the culture of the Mystics organization right now?
It's a family, and we worked really hard to get there in 2019 when we won the championship, and I do feel like we took a step back last season, but I feel like we got that family environment, that family culture back. And when your locker room is good and you enjoy coming into work every single day and seeing the people around you, being around your sisters every single day, that makes your journey in a long season that much better. So we definitely got our family culture and environment back.
Thank you so much. And thanks for a fantastic year. Proud of you.
Thank y'all. Thank you, Christy.
That's it, Tosh. Thank you for your time. Hi, Tori. We can get started with in-person questions whenever you're ready.
Hey, what's up, Troy?
What's going on?
I know it's super quick to kind of be trying to ask these direct questions.
Yeah.
When you just look back over the summer and,
Mhm.
and the ups and downs of the season, just kind of what stood out to you, about what went well,
Mhm.
and maybe what was missing from, or what was lacking, and to kind of take that next step and get you guys a little bit over that hump.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, unfortunate ending. But for me personally, I'm just super blessed. Last year I had gotten waived, and for half of the summer I didn't have a job, and so now I didn't take, at least I didn't try to take any day for granted. To not only be in the WNBA, but to play for such a great organization, playing alongside great players. That pushed me to be not only a great player but a great person as well. I don't take that for granted. I'm super thankful for the season. Like I said, obviously we didn't end the way we wanted to, but it's definitely something to build on for sure. It's just to piggyback off what Tosh was saying, definitely starting with the culture, taking that step in the right direction, and building off of that.
What is it about this organization, this environment that really kind of allows you to thrive?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've had your best years.
Yeah.
And this year, that's another step forward.
Yeah.
What is it that is the ideal scenario?
Yeah, I feel like the word that came to mind when you were talking was trust. And being that we are a family. That's how I view it. We are a family. These are my siblings. These are my uncles, my aunts. These are it's a family. So when you have that trust and the communication is there, I mean and also the confidence as well. I feel like they when I say they, I'm talking about the coaching staff and also my teammates instill the confidence in me, the genuine confidence. And I trust that, and I feel like they trust me. And I, that with that, I feel like I can do whatever.
Gotta ask again. I know it's super early, but when do you start thinking about free agency and stuff?
I'll kind of let the season marinate a little bit, especially going into exit meetings, and just appreciating what we did accomplish, and not like I said, taking anything for granted and being able to build off of that. But I probably won't think about it until free agency actually starts. To be honest, yeah.
Just one last thing. And I'm not asking, individuals or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that, but what little bit of what skill set do you think be added, or what would have helped get you guys a little bit over the and maybe out of the first round, or maybe further, but, throughout the season, both kind of, you guys were so good on the defensive end, shooting, anything like that.
Yeah. I feel like honestly, and I'm not just saying, I feel like we had enough. I mean, obviously we didn't have enough in the first, like Seattle was the better team in the first round. But things happen, but I feel like, looking at our roster, I personally feel like, we had enough. They were just better than us in that series, and hats off to them. I mean, we have great players, a great roster top to bottom. I know as a bench player, we took pride as trying to be one of the best benches in the league. And I feel like at times we showed that we could be that. But like I said, hats off to Seattle. They were the better team in that series.
I appreciate it.
Sure.
What's going on?
Good to see you.
Likewise.
One thing about you this year, I kind of observed,
Mhm.
you just always were ready,
Mhm.
whether it was practice,
Mhm.
game, just whatever.
Mhm.
Just talk about that, like that mindset you had and coming to the season.
Yeah. And I always tried to approach the season and games and practices like that. But like, I mean, going back to last year, like it was taken away from me, like in a blink of an eye. So it was kind of like a wake up call that I feel like at the time I didn't know I needed, but I take that and I apply it to like, this can be taken away from me in the blink of an eye. So I need to always stay ready. And I love being here and I love the game. So I mean, when you have that love, you wake up every day excited to come in and compete and represent DC and the organization that you play for. I mean, it's kind of easy to stay ready.
And then just one was a positive,
Mhm.
something you may have worked on, maybe a mental note of your game, a physical, just one thing that sticks out to you, just like, wow, I really did that this year.
Yeah, I tried to for me, I tried to be more, I would say more disciplined on defense. I feel like before I've had a knack for anticipating passing lanes, but for me, I tried to, be more understanding on the defensive end as far as like not just what the coverage was, but why we're doing the coverages and kind of getting in Tasha's and Alysha's ear of like how they approach the game defensively, and how that develops throughout the course of the game, and the course of the season, and how they, scouting reports and film watching and stuff like that. And I feel like I took a step as far as learning and understanding like defensive concepts. That was my goal going into the season. How you doing?
Good, Ariel.
Good.
Alysha and Natasha talked about how the team kind of find still a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
What was that point that you guys strived to? What was next for this?
I feel like our defense had connected very much quicker than our offense had throughout the course of the season. Like we showed glimpses, but I mean I feel like there was still some growth that we didn't really necessarily tap on the offensive end as far as chemistry wise. We had so many great players, and there's so many different lineups and things. So there's times like different lineups. So I feel like at times, especially with a shorter season, with not that many practices, our offense took a little bit longer to grasp as far as chemistry than our defense. And if I had to say something, I would say our offensive chemistry.
Do you have any offensive plans? What you're planning to do leading into the next season?
Yeah, I plan to go play over in Israel this off season. That's the plan for the off season. Yeah, no problem.
We'll go to Zoom. We'll start with Jen.
Hey, Tori.
Hello.
So does that mean you're playing against Shakira in Israel?
That's exactly what that means. Going right at her. Tell her that when she comes in.
All right. Well, we'll need an update on that when you guys get back.
Got you.
And then just wanted to ask real quick, sticking on the defensive side of the ball,
Uh-huh.
you and I have talked about several times how you didn't want to be the weak link
No.
defensively, and you weren't. And I'm just curious, like, based on that, like, how much pride do you take in not only not being the weak link, but helping your team be the best defensive team in the entire league?
Yeah, that's I feel like defense is something that you can bring regardless. And it's something that you have to commit to, not just as an individual, but as a team, as a collective. And I thought that we did that, and that's not easy to do. There's some teams that they only really kind of sometimes play defense when their offense is going, and it's hard to dig deep, especially if you're not hitting shots, to dig deep on the defensive end and continue to buy in and get stops. So for me to be a part of that and to be alongside great perimeter defenders like Alysha, Ariel, and Natasha, but also paint protectors as well. And I'm just blessed with it and not be a weak link.
Thank you, Tori, and thanks for your time all season.
No problem.
We
Thank
only
you.
have time for one last question to Christy, and then Elena is ready.
Hey, Shatori.
Hey.
Sticking with the defensive theme, with Alysha Clark last year not being able to play and you coming in at the end of last year, you heard her leadership in that role. What was it like to have her not only saying it from the sidelines, but actually on the floor for you
Yeah.
guys this season?
I mean, I credit her a lot for my defensive jump. Honestly, I didn't have to do much. She did all the hard work, and then I would just ask her like she was like I would ask her for like the cliff notes of like the actual scout, because I know she did all the hard work. So for me, she was like a little cheat code for me, and I'm blessed to have shared the court with her. Her defensive presence. I mean, I credit a lot of my steals to her ball pressure, and a lot of my steals to. She has like the breakdowns. I used to ask her for like her breakdowns of like different fouls and different her scout videos, and it was just like I was like in a college course, and I just couldn't believe it. So I just eventually stopped and asked for the cliff notes. But I mean, it just shows her dedication and her attention to detail. And at that moment, I knew why she is who she is on the defensive, and because of the attention to detail that she digs deep in on like, you know, key players and key sets on these teams.
Thank you so much. Proud of you.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Tori. Elena.
Thank you for
Cool.
Hey,
Hey.
I asked this for everybody, and I understand that it's 24 hours after everything, so it's weird to talk about some of these grand things, but kind of look back over the season and throughout the ups and downs, kind of what stood out to you? What are some of the biggest things that stood about this journey this last time?
What stood out was like, you know, rebuilding the culture again and rebuilding that winning atmosphere to even, you know, get to playoffs and be one of the top teams. Unfortunately, you know, we fell short in playoffs, but from last season to this season, you do see a large improvement. There were so many unknowns in the off season, especially for myself. So to know that I was able to sustain a season and build through the season is something that, you know, I look back on and I'm very excited about. And I'm excited to now have an off season that will be more training and not rehab. So then I can be, you know, even stronger next year. But I feel like I'm excited about, you know, the future and where we can go. I'm also excited to hear a lot of the players will be around. Like, that's not very typical for most W teams. So hopefully we can use that in our advantage and get together, work out, hang out, and kind of keep the culture going.
Mentioned the health stuff that I asked about. Obviously, you know, now that you made it through, how did it feel? Did it feel like, okay, the plan worked?
Yep.
Number one. And number two, what does moving forward? I know you said you get to train more, but is it still is that daily routine if I know how much it took before games and after games? Is that something that just continues forever now, or now you back off and have maybe more of a regular routine?
I think now that I can build strength this off season, I won't need as much, you know, pre and post game. Yeah, I'll still be doing more. And I feel like, you know, a lot of that has been super helpful, kind of getting myself ready for the game and then also making sure I go to bed feeling great. So doing post game work. But I do think the time will cut down and hopefully I won't need as much treatment. And through this off season, by being able to get a lot of lifts in and putting, you know, the weight room first and the movement first before on court stuff, that'll be super helpful in just building strength.
You know, I know you and Mike talk about, and I know it's very inclusive, but you guys talk about the entire organization and what it will look like in the future, because the core is back, but there's always tweaks to a team.
For sure.
When do you kind of sit down and have that conversation with Mike? How does that work?
Yeah.
And are there things already in your mind that you say, hey, you know, we could need not a specific person, but hey, we need a little bit more of this at some point?
Yeah. Yeah, we do that every season. We usually give it, you know, at least a week or 2 weeks to try to, you know, get some of the like emotion out of it from the season and, you know, coming off of these tough losses. So I think, you know, probably in a week and a half, we'll sit down and talk through some things. Right now, everything's still just a little too fresh to pick things apart at this moment. But yeah, we'll have that sit down, and that's always good. So we can start planning for the future. Thanks.
did the simulations of chop wood, carry wood help you out this season?
It helped me in, I mean, so many ways, but especially in like drawing confidence from all the work I put in every single day. And just knowing like when the lights are on, you don't just shine. You actually will drop down to the level of your training. And I felt like the level of my training has been higher than it's ever been, and it will continue to be. So I think that book a lot of times, just gives you nice reminders, but also gave me a lot of confidence in what I've done to get here.
Kind of talked about it, the mental side of basketball. How much stronger did your mental become this year? All the work you put in, and you started to do a good job. You talk about the mental side of it.
Yeah. I mean, the mental side's always a challenge. You never really have a grasp on it. Some days is better than others. And you have to give yourself that space to, kind of go up and down through the mental things. But for me, I felt like I was so consistent in my physical work and then consistent in my meditation, that, I tried to control as much as I can, and then the rest takes care of itself. But in the end, I was drawing, so much confidence from the amount of work I was putting in, and knowing that whatever happens, I literally have done the most I possibly can. And at some point, that's got to be enough.
This individual, what's one thing you're proud of from yourself this year?
Playing basketball again. It's been a long time since I've been on court and playing and healthy and sustaining it, and building through the season. So I was certainly proud that I was able to get back out there and play. Thanks.
Like in that same thing, have you had, I know it's been a very good season, a lot of games, a lot of practice. Have you had moments to kind of appreciate how far you've been able to come? Or
yeah, there's been, a few moments along the way where I kind of just sit with it. Even like when I completed a back-to-back, I was like, wow, I wasn't sure I'd ever do that in the rest of my career. So to know that my body, was able to sustain some of those different challenges was something I was proud of. But I also have like a newfound hunger and know that there's so much more I can do. Like so much of this had been rehab, and now I can go even more into the training side of it. So I'm just really excited about being able to attack so much more in the off season.
what's the difference between attacking rehab
Mhm.
and then training? How is that different? for
Yeah.
you, especially not.
I was attacking rehab, but that was just more table work and more, body weight movement, or not being able to load, the bar too much in my lifts, and not being able to gain in my lifts because we just needed to kind of sustain through the season. So now the priority will be weight room and like gaining there. And if that makes me, sore or whatnot, then the court stuff isn't forefront. Like right now, it's all about building strength, and I have a lot I can work on.
Macro perspective, how has this season and how you're able to progress through this season kind of impacted your approach for the next chapter in your career?
Yeah, just a whole different awareness of my body, and a whole different awareness of drawing connections with whatever you're doing, to like what that can look like on court. So I feel like I used to kind of go through like lifts, just like checking the box of like, oh, okay, I have 10 lunges and then I got to do 8 squats. But now I'm connecting it to what that looks like on court and what that feels like from my feet all the way up. And by drawing those connections, I think it just makes the court work that much better.
We'll go to Zoom. We'll go to Jen.
Hey, Elena.
Hey.
Just curious, obviously over the course of your career, pre-herniated discs, you got what I would call the Elena treatment from defenses, lots of attention, some doubles, all that sort of thing. Do you feel like, and obviously you faced some double teams this season too, but do you feel like you are getting the same Elena treatment this year that you did pre-injury, or do you get different, are teams approaching you differently in your comeback?
No, I feel like it was pretty similar to prior, times where drawing more doubles and sometimes triple teams, and, having to make those reads and find my teammates. I think it's something we improved on, but something we still, have a ways to go. And I think if we can get people into more movement and not be so stagnant, it makes it even more difficult to, run those double teams. So no, I feel like it was very similar to what I've seen in the past. And again, we can kind of get better at that and capitalize on it.
And then you mentioned the culture a little bit earlier and a lot of people being around in the off season. I'm curious if you can just tell us a little bit more about how you want to continue to build that culture in the off season, particularly for the players who maybe like a Shakira who's headed to Israel and won't be in DC with you all.
Yeah, we got to find a way to be better with like continuing conversation and staying in touch. It's hard, like when people are going overseas and all that, like it is really hard to keep things going. Obviously, we have a group chat, but I got to find other ways to reach out and stay connected. And that's why I'm excited that a lot of people will still be here. It's always much better when you can do it in person. But I'm sure, me along with, Ariel, Tosh, who are hanging around, we'll figure out ways to stay connected with the team a little bit better, because you can't really put a pause on culture and then just come right back to it. It doesn't work that way. So we got to figure out a way to kind of keep it going through the off season and find ways to keep people in touch.
Thanks, Elena, and thanks for your time all season.
Thank you.
Christy?
Hey, Elena, if you could have give us a snapshot of your mental approach as the playoffs began this season, like as you were running out to warm up, what was that emotion like for you this year?
I think I try to take some of the emotion out of it and make it more of like a process where I can control the things in the process. So from a shot standpoint, trying to make sure that my body is correctly turned, my arm is at the right 90-degree angle, and from there I get the right, push from my legs and finish it off. And then from like a leadership aspect, trying to figure out the moments where, I need to jump in and say something, or the moments I need to, try to coach something on the fly. But yeah, for me, I try not to let the emotions get too much into it. Because when that happens, I feel like you can lose sight of like, the process and what you need to get done in order to try to win games.
And how does that process that you were discussing, how does that help build the younger players like a Shakira Austin? How do you share that kind of approach to winning?
Hopefully it helps them to stay focused. I don't want them overthinking either. And I feel like I've been, playing for so long now that I can take on more of that mental load. So trying to, do some of it for them and help them lock into a scout or lock into how they need to play their one-on-one defense, and just give like short reminders to help them focus in on the moment.
And last thing for me, just the family culture. Everyone has talked about it. That's come through the doors today. How important is that to maintain and to just sustain what has redeveloped for you guys this year?
Yeah, I think that's like number one. Like if you don't have that atmosphere, and if you don't have an atmosphere where you want to show up and come to work and be around people, it makes it impossible to be successful. So I think we all know that that's like the forefront and the number one thing moving forward.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the time we have. Thanks, Elena.
Thank you.
Hi, Kira.
Hey.
Awesome. Appreciate you. Thanks for everything.
We can start with in-person questions whenever you're ready.
What was your biggest lesson this year?
I think my biggest lesson was just learning how to play within the role that I was given. Learning how to play with pros, and just learning how to be as prepared as possible to go against the best in the nation, in the world. So
Now, coming in as a rookie, WNBA is still other leagues, and kind of jump right in. Coaches don't necessarily always have time to kind of game plan for you.
Mhm.
How excited are you for being able to show what you can do when you are the local point with the offense, and knowing that you have so many more skills to be able to give to the team?
Yeah, I think rookie season is definitely a great opportunity to just go out there and shock people. I think this year, I wasn't really able to shock them as much as I wanted, but I was just able to be as efficient as possible. So, they can't really scout a great IQ player, a high IQ player, who just knows how to cut and is aggressive, and plays with high energy. I just think that's what I came in and did. And like I said, you can't really scout too much about that.
Offseason, what do you want to add to your book?
For me, it's just about getting back to my true self. Getting back to being a versatile player. Just continue to build my confidence. And just really continue to unlock all the skills that I've built towards this point, of getting to the league. Just really trying to get back and hopefully show that I have those skills coming in next year. So.
Take weeks off. So what's these next couple of weeks off?
Whew.
Get back
Off. I don't know what off is right now. I have about 2 weeks before I go to Vegas. I'm gonna try to spend at least this 1 week just seeing my family. I haven't seen them besides going to the games in almost about 2 years. So I got about a week to spend with them, and I'm gonna head up to train with my old coach, Coach Shea, up in Louisville. Get some work in and go straight to Vegas from there. And then after that, I'm going straight overseas. So.
And you played so much this year and got into the starting lineup so quick, and we talked about how comfortable you seemed all year. Was there anything that surprised you about this first year?
No, I wouldn't say anything really surprised me. I think the first thing that I guess was a difference between college was just the physicality, but I think everybody knew that W was going to be way more physical than college kids. So I wouldn't say I was shocked about pretty much anything.
Is there anything you learned from the playoff and the difference between those two games, the rest of the regular season?
Yeah, definitely. Just that the team that just makes the adjustments as quickly as possible and goes out and hits shots is a team that's probably going to win. I noticed that every possession matters. They always preach that, but really being in that moment and being in that environment, it's really something that can win or lose a game and send you home. So.
Just one last one. What are you most proud of?
Just my ability to create for myself. I think coming in this year, there wasn't really an expectation for me to do much for the team. And I came in and I established myself. Like I said, within the role I was given, no plays were called for me. I was told to be a defender and a rebounder. And I came in and still tried to make as much of the impact as I could within that. Thank you.
Thanks, Shakira. This is arguably the best one in the league in the world.
Mhm.
Coming in as a rookie, just started. Just as a testament to yourself, let's talk about the work you put in to get to this moment right here.
It's something I always know I would be able to do. From the moment I was drafted to now, I knew that I would be able to come in and really, make that impact for a team. I felt like this was the best opportunity for us to probably win a championship. Just being around just elite basketball players. I just was able to just learn a lot, but yeah.
And then I guess as a rookie, again, everyone said that this season is hard. What was able to help get you so through successfully?
Honestly, just the belief I had in myself to just keep pushing through, no matter what was thrown at me, no matter really, honestly, just the responsibility of that wasn't really given to me. I didn't really have too much of this is what we need from you, Shakira. It was really just I had to figure it out on my own. I had to figure out how I could really help the team, how I could, be a threat on the offensive end, how I could, help them and be that anchor on the defensive end. It's just stuff that I had to learn on my own. And, with the help of, some of the coaches and definitely my teammates just continuously motivated me, continuously just putting words of encouragement and helping me out through this first season is definitely something that has helped me my rookie year.
That's one thing. A lot of the times we heard a lot. Fans were screaming your name.
Mhm.
Go Shakira, but you can't guard. Just how much did the fan support mean to you this year as well?
I mean, that I can't even explain what that meant. Like, sometimes they were rooting for me more than, people that probably should have been rooting. Just hearing somebody know what I'm capable of and having that belief and know the ability that I have. Sometimes that get me going, sometimes where I would have typically just passed the ball, like I went to my natural like kill zone and just was attacking people. So the fan base was just amazing. They just put a lot of confidence into me, more than they probably know. So
I know home base or something like that.
Mhm.
You have to showcase it all to the Pistons this year.
No, they weren't blessed with my cooking abilities yet. I was barely able to cook for myself. It's been a lot of carry out and Uber Eats this year. But hopefully next year, as I'm able to settle in a little more, I'm definitely hoping to cook some meals for them. Yeah.
All right, Kira, we'll do a couple questions from Zoom, one from Jen and one from Christy.
Hey, Shakira, we were just talking to Tori and she let us know that she'll be playing against you in Israel and is looking forward to that matchup. Are you looking forward to that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly just looking forward to going over there and just showcasing, the abilities that I have. I'm ready to whoop Tori, whatever she wants on the court. I'm ready for it. But I'm excited. I think that's just a great opportunity.
And then last thing for me, just curious, kind of what your mindset is or your goals are heading into Vegas for Team USA camp.
I just want to be a pro. I want to go in there. I don't want them to be like, she's a rookie. I want to just be able to go in and establish, what I've basically worked for this whole time. I mean, this opportunity that, a lot of people don't get the chance to go there. So, I'm going to go in there and just basically just give it all I got.
Awesome. Thank you, Shakira, for your time today and all season long.
Thank you.
We'll go to Christy.
Hey, Shakira.
Hey.
After your freshman year in high school and freshman year in college, there's always an adjustment period. Now you've shown yourself as a rookie in the WNBA, but how do you counter that headed into your second season now that you've shown other parts of your game at this level?
Yeah, I think I started off at a pretty good base, for a rookie year. Personally, I feel like I haven't done too much to nothing crazy special, but that alone just motivates me to come in and show that I have a lot more to offer, and that I can do a lot more for a team. So.
And what was, I would say, if you had one or two major takeaways that you didn't anticipate learning that you did learn after this season?
Let me see. I mean, I've harped on it a few times. Just about just preparation. I'll preach it the whole year. It's just, something that they tell you in college a lot about, separating yourself. But when you're able to reach the next level and understand you have to really maintain that separation and maintain the work ethic, that's just something that's continuously a lesson and understanding. Just like I said, you're going against the best in the world. You want any bit of, I guess, I forgot the word, but any type of, I guess,
incentive.
Step ahead, yeah, incentive. Step ahead from your opponents. It matters. That 1% matters. Just like in the playoffs, the 1% matters. With every play. So that's just one of the things that I've learned this year.
Thank you so much.
All set, Kira. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
What's open Zoom? I would. You're right. I would not know.
Ready for in person whenever you are, Kareem.
There we go. Hey,
Hey,
I've been asking everybody this, and I understand it's a weird thing to try to think about 24 hours later, but
yeah.
you know, when you big picture kind of look at this season, the ups and downs, things that went well, that things that didn't quite go well, what stands out the most in your brain?
That we did better than last year. We made it to the playoffs. And I think going into this season, of course, we wanted to be one of the last teams playing. But I look back to last year and how like I was just this isn't the right feeling. Like it just did not feel good last year, just knowing that we weren't, in the playoffs. So for me, um, this meeting, this interview feels a little better, just in the sense of that, we did keep our word and make it back to the playoffs, but we didn't execute and finish the whole vision of being back in the championship. But it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Was it a bit? I don't want to call it a transition year, but it was still a year, like you said, getting back the culture,
Mhm.
getting back Elena healthy, getting back AC healthy. You know, there was still a lot of things that you guys had to kind of work out as the season goes along.
Mhm.
Did this feel like a little bit almost, I don't know, building a platform to kind of leap forward into next year and beyond?
Yeah, like it's definitely a weird question because it's like every year we're building to get better. Every year we're building to get back to a championship caliber team that we know we're capable of being. So it's like weird question because like that's where we see ourselves. We see ourselves playing that last game of the season. Because we know what we're capable of doing. The coaches know what we're capable of doing. So it's like I don't know how to answer that one. I'm sorry.
How about individually? How do you feel like your season,
Mhm.
you just talked about that the other day, Ben had roles that mixed.
Yeah.
Depending on if Ben was in, out, all that kind of stuff. So how do you kind of look at your individual play for the total year?
Be completely honest, I'm disappointed in how I played throughout the whole season. Felt like I was inconsistent throughout the whole season. Like it was never a stretch of me playing basketball how I know I'm capable of playing it, and being what this team needed me to be every single game, no matter what role it was, whether Elena was in, whether I was coming off the bench, whether I played minutes, whether I didn't. I think moving forward, I'm definitely, no matter what my role is, I'm definitely going to be more consistent in the sense of knowing what I'm capable of doing, knowing what my teammates know I'm capable of doing, and my coaches, being more consistent at that. And doesn't matter what other people or the outside, I should say, think that I should be doing on the team, or basically what they think I should be doing on the team. I know what I'm capable of doing. I know what the team needs me to do. So I think I need to be more consistent in that aspect. So that's where I was a little frustrated with myself at times throughout this whole season.
Next one, Natasha. Off-season focus, when
Mhm.
do you get going, and is there anything that you specifically want to work on?
Another tough question because I don't want to necessarily say it now, so I'll hold off like when I get started. But definitely want to grow again in every aspect of the game, being more just again, it just goes back to being me being more consistent and having more confidence in myself, no matter what. So that's every part of my game. That's like every part of my game. I felt like this season I definitely felt more confident shooting the ball, so I don't want to lose that. But my ball handling went down from previous years. So like for me, it's being able to put everything together. And I think that's the next step in my journey in the WNBA, is putting everything together, and being, you know, an all around player from start to finish.
Hey, Ray. Good to see you.
Hey, Wayne.
How you doing?
I'm good.
One thing I noticed about you put a lot of work in, a lot of behind the scenes.
Yeah.
How did that help you this year just stay so healthy throughout this WC?
I mean, it got me to finish the season, I guess, playing on the court. Because again, last year struggling with like my knee. So this year, just, you know, taking that more serious and knowing I have, in order to be on the court and perform and try to help my teammates, I need to make sure like my knee or anything, like my head, like mentally being there, present, everything was like in order for me to stay on the court. So yeah, I guess just making sure everything is in order for me to stay on that court.
That's my last one. I've asked a couple of your teammates. It's for you personally. What's one thing you look back on the season you would be really proud of about yourself?
You from Baltimore? Oh, okay. My bad. It's the accent.
You heard it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard it before. I just came out like, wait, what? What's one thing I can be proud of? I think staying engaged this whole season, being where my feet are. There was never a moment where I got too down on myself or too high on myself. So just staying present and trying to be consistent throughout the whole thing. And when I say like consistent in that way, I meant like mentally just being where my feet are. So I think for me that was one of the most things I was proud of myself for.
Was it you?
Yeah, it was definitely. So can you say two? Yeah. So funky. So funky. Love your accent though.
Talk about how you weren't happy with the season yourself eventually.
Mhm.
You've been able to identify the reasons why you felt like you were inconsistent.
I think I got into my head too many times, and also listening to what outsiders were saying and just reading like some of the things, and I'm just like, it took me a lot to like hold back and not comment on every single one that I seen. But I think that's why I played, or I don't want to say that's why I played inconsistent, but that was one of the reasons why like I just could never like get over that hump, I guess. It was just focused on like outside noise like that. I let that get to me too much this season.
Elena and Tosh talked a lot about how they tried to shift the culture in the offseason last year.
Mhm.
You were a huge part of last year's team, huge part of this year's team. What do you see from them that got them to change the culture where everyone seems pretty happy with the direction it's going to now?
Yeah, I think everyone, I mean, you can, from players to coaches to support staff, maybe to media, I don't even know. But last year it was a dread, like, to be honest. So I think going into this season, Elena and Tosh like knew like we want to have that enjoyment coming to work every single day. Again, getting better, you know, competing for a championship again. So I could definitely see the difference of just how everyone approached every day, whether it was practice, walkthrough, traveling days. It didn't matter. It was just different how everyone approached the way we came in to a building or whatever it was.
I know you don't have, or you, I'm gonna say your off-season plans yet, but I know you play overseas. Has the Brittany Griner situation changed the calculus at all for you and how you approach where you want to go, what team you're going to play for?
That's like hard to answer too, because it's like I don't know if like being politically correct is right now. So it's like I know I wouldn't want to play in Russia. Like, I mean, that's just that. But overall, again, we make our money going overseas, really. So it's kind of hard to say I will never play overseas again because of the situation. Um, and again, that this is just my opinion for me. So in a sense, yes, it has changed, but at the same time, I know that I need to go overseas um to make a living for myself. So yeah.
All right, Matt, we'll over to Zoom. We'll start with Christy.
Hey, Myisha. With what the team did this season on the defensive end, being number one in defensive rating, how do you sustain that going into next year, having the confidence in knowing that you accomplished that this season?
Yeah. We maintain it, I guess, by just coming in again next season, knowing we're capable of being a great defensive team. So I think since we've seen it, we've been a part of it, we were able to do it. I think it'll be easy coming in next year. Not, I shouldn't say like that, but like we know what we're capable of doing. We've seen it, we put in the work. So I think next year going into it, it'll definitely be a joy, I guess. I don't want to say easy because nothing is easy, but you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I do.
okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
I do. But with what you were saying about your consistency and blocking out the outside noise, what are you going to do to change that or to fix that moving forward?
I think being more consistent, talking with Stu, I think that will change a lot because again, I talk to Stu a lot, but I think if we are able to get on a better schedule, it'll help me mentally be able to learn how to block out the noise and just stay engaged and be where my feet are more often.
Thank you so much.
We'll take our last question from Nation.
Hey, Myisha. I just wanted to get your thoughts on, like, from your perspective of being a veteran, some of the things that you've helped Shakira, Vina, even Rory through this season, and some of the things to help them become better players going forward in this league.
How have I helped them become better players? I think it starts with knowing there's more to basketball. So just helping them like off the court. I think it starts off the court and then it translates on the court because then they're able to trust you. So I think building that relationship that I'm more than just their teammate. I think that's where it helped them on the court and just knowing that they can come to me, no matter who it was, whether it was Kira, Avina or Rui, just knowing that no matter what it is, like I'll be here. If you need just to talk to someone, I'll be here to help you. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, on the court, me helping them exactly on the court. But it was a pleasure playing with them and seeing them grow this whole season. So yeah, it starts with the trust. I think that's where, for me, I help them just building that trust, that bridge, that gap. Yeah.
Thanks, Myisha. Appreciate all the work you did this season.
I appreciate you too.
Thanks, Mai. Appreciate you.
Hey,
Awesome.
it's been real. Huh?
Where's the big vacation?
We can start with in-person questions whenever you are ready.
What's up?
My leading question for everyone. I understand it's kind of weird, 24 hours after, but
yeah,
when you look back over the course of the season, ups and downs, post-spectacle lineup and all of that, what stands out the most to you, and is there anything that you said, if we had done X, we would have kind of got over a little bit of a hump?
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't given it a ton of thought, and I still feel like I'm in season mode. So I'm gonna try not to answer it as if we are.
But I think something that was a constant for me trying to figure out how to help our offense flow better was kind of my dang. I wish we could have gotten that because I think that would have helped us not only in the games we lost, but just kind of in the back end of the season. It just would have made things a little easier.
What was that? Yeah, and I know it's like you could fix
Right,
it,
exactly.
But what was that feel of?
Yeah.
Like, could you tell what wasn't quite there? Trying to get that offensive flow.
I don't know. It just didn't feel like we could get it consistently. Like there would be games where it's like, dang, that felt good, and the next game you'd be like, up. So just trying to find that consistency within the flow, I think would have been nice.
How about yourself?
Mhm.
You're looking back to your individual season, every year you take a step forward.
Yeah.
You did it again this year. Were you happy with yourself, your individual performance?
Yeah.
And what parts were you, I guess, most proud of?
Yeah. I'm most proud of is just kind of like my growth as a person. I think being able to not only call myself a leader of this team, but to actually be one. There's one thing to be appointed and there's another thing to be able to actually do it. And I think I learned a lot about my teammates this year individually, enough for me to be able to speak to them. So to say in the best way that I could, just take into account each and every human on their own level and not try to collectively group people together. That's one of the things I'm really excited about for myself as far as a leader moving forward. Just being able to do that. Basketball wise, I think I did get to the rack more. I didn't get to the free throw line as nearly as much as I would have liked to. I got to be more aggressive. Just straight up honesty. I did figure out how to get over screens for the most part. Asterisk on that. But yeah, I think that I've taken steps forward in my game this year. And obviously my goal every year is to get that much better in whatever capacity that is. And I want to continue to add to my game and grow. My goal is to lead this organization to championships. And I've got to figure out how to continuously get better so that I can do that.
Now, just one last one for me, and this is probably strange also. But coming off of last year, where this year Elena didn't get out of the lineup, so she's working back to get back to herself. Alysha is working back to get to her, coming off the break, get back. People in the lineup a little bit.
Yeah.
I just feel like a bit of a good foundational building year, so we're moving forward. You don't have to worry. Elena was just talking about she can spend this offseason getting stronger as opposed to just rehabbing. Do you feel like this, especially having most of the core back, that this was a good foundation for moving forward and getting closer to that ultimate, like you said, you guys are supposed to compete for championships every year. I feel like this was a year to kind of get back building towards that.
Well, I hate the word rebuilding. I've just never been a fan of it, especially in the sports world. I'm not a fan of that. But it is a thing, and I would be remiss to not acknowledge it. But I would say more of a restructure, if that's a better word for us. This year was new. This was our first year having AC really with us. In our reality, I hadn't played basketball with E in like 2 years. And Tosh was just coming back. I mean, COVID was a thing. And so we talk about getting back to our norm. There is no norm. So we had to restructure. And that's kind of where you see us. I mean, even the coaches trying to put things and people in places for everyone to succeed. So rebuilding, no. Restructure, yes. And in order to win championships, you have to be able to restructure, so to say, on the fly. So that's what we're working towards. Yeah, for sure.
You were one of 3 players playing all 36 games. Just talk about the work you put in to stay healthy and this season to get you to this point.
Yeah, I mean, recovery is a big thing for me. I'm still learning about my body. Obviously our bodies are always changing. But just kind of working with our sports medicine staff and trying to figure out the best ways I can stay on the court. Obviously it's not always easy, and there are some days where I feel like I probably wasn't able to go. But at the end of the day,
I'm thankful to have been able to play all those games. I mean, I've had problems in the past of my career not being able to play because of certain kind of small injuries. So just locking into the recovery stuff. I mean, there's so many things that you can do to kind of take care of your body. So I tried to hone down on my nutrition this year. And my hydration was a really big key. Shout out to my dietitian, pounding my head with that. But that was really big for me, kind of locking in on those two things that seem very simple, but with the way that our schedule is, those are two important things for me. And then again, learning from our sports medicine staff how to take care of my body on the outside was really helpful as well.
Also, just one more for me.
Mhm.
Also this year, just want to talk about that as a positive.
Mhm.
How do you just carry that type of momentum going into the next season?
I have a choice. Now everybody knows I'm good. It's a joke. But yeah, I mean, I've had every opportunity I needed to grow here. I think they've put in a lot of resources in order for me to get better every year. And I want to thank our organization for that because I'm forever indebted to them for that. Like coming into the league and being a part of an organization that wants to help you grow and that actively helps you grow is not an easy thing to do, and it's not everybody's experience. So I'm excited about my growth because I think every year I always have something I can either add to my game or build upon. And I think the better I get, the more chances we have at winning a championship. And so I gotta get better. And I'm gonna use everything that I've been learning over the years as foundation. Like you just use it as the next step.
Ariel, coming into the season, you guys already had really solid alignment, but Alysha and bringing her in, how important was she to be able to achieve that goal?
AC's always been known for her defensive prowess. And I mean, that's what she brought to our team this year. Obviously, her as a human is important to us as well. But speaking basketball wise, everyone knows that's what AC does. Yeah.
You being able to do this basketball game this fall,
Mhm.
now being able to do this basketball fairly regularly. Systems. What does that do for you in terms of how you structure out your seasons and your off season?
Yeah. Well, this offseason, I decided to not go overseas. I just think that's best for me and my body. Although I am going to miss some of the teammates that I've had over the past. I just think it's best for me and my body. And as far as USA goes, I'm just thankful to be a part of it. It's not an easy thing to do to not only be in the pool, but to be a part of now which was an Olympic year, and then going into the World Cup year. It's a true blessing and an honor because it's not everybody gets to do it. And it's a dream that I've had since I was a kid. So I'm thankful to be a part of it.
At all. And there's such a challenge like season.
Yes and no. Not really something I'm ready to comment on.
And then the totality of the year, this is, I believe, next season. What are you going to remember most about this group of players and this 2022?
Probably our camaraderie. It doesn't even have to do anything with basketball. We had a lot of good humans in the locker room this year. Not to say that we didn't in the past. It was just this year. We just had good people, man. And I'm thankful to have had good humans surround me.
We have time for one question over Zoom. We'll go to Christy.
Hey, Ariel, just discuss the way Coach Tebow was able to be transparent with the team and hold you accountable, especially on the defensive end all season long, and to have the compassion and the wherewithal to have Elena in and out of the lineup as needed. Did you hear me?
I did hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I froze out. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
That's fine. Uh-oh. Did it cut off? Did we lose her?
We might have. Give me one moment.
Okay, no worries. I thought I froze for a second. There we go.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
We're back. If Christy, you want to repeat your question?
Oh, sure. Just can you discuss the transparency of accountability that Coach Tebow had for the team this year, especially on the defensive end, being number one in defensive rating, but also having the compassion and wherewithal to adjust with having Elena in and out of the lineup for the 9 games that she missed?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a test to Coach T and E about being transparent about her coming in and out of the lineup. It definitely wasn't the easiest thing to deal with, but it's definitely a lot easier when you got your franchise player being like, yo, may not be there, might be there, and not kind of keeping us in the shade about that. Coach T's always been transparent ever since I've known him. I mean, known him like 6 years now. And he's always honest, very matter of fact, face value. So I didn't expect anything less. It's who he's always been to me. So yeah, I mean, it's just who he is. It's his personality.
And lastly, for me, just in terms of growing for next year and planting those seeds now for that growth, what is it going to take to sustain, number one, the defensive intensity that you all brought this season, but also the family culture that this organization has redeveloped this season as well?
I think it's who we are as far as family culture. Even though we've probably had small lapses in it, I do think it is a core foundation of who we are in DC. So I don't think I won't necessarily say we have no room for growth there, but I think that's more of a foundational piece than something that I'm thinking of writing down to work on for our team next season. As far as defense, I think you saw it. It's definitely a skill that you have to learn in some aspects, but a huge part of it is effort and your ability to just get down and play one-on-one defense, honestly and truly. I think when I think of growth for us next year, I kind of talked to Kareem about a little bit, is our offensive flow. Does that mean that I need to get better in certain areas of my game? Does that mean other players need to get better in certain areas of their game? Do we need more of a flow? Who needs to cut when? I don't know what it is. If I would have known, again, probably would have tried to fix it earlier on. But that's kind of if I had to pinpoint something on the court for us next season, that's kind of probably what I'll try to break down for the next week or so.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
That's it, A. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank